So, Mick, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm quite fine. We are talking about times now, and well,
Time in a different way and in little fragments in
yeah,
audio, you
in
say?
in another continuum or something. Yeah, prepare to and make yourself ready. This is Mr. Dean Freud, and I'm Modulator, and we will now introduce you the developer of multiple machines. And yeah, let's start with the theme melody.
Sequencer Talk, music gear, synthesizer and music production. And here are your hosts, the Mugulator and Dean Freud.
Hello, everybody. As we said, we are the Sequencer Talk, and today we are talking about the Tempera synthesizer from Beetlecrab Audio. And yeah, I think we have a guest today. This is why we talk in English, and hope you forgive us because we are native German speakers, so forgive us for our bad English. So, hello, Andre.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Hi. Good to be here.
Fine. That's great. So, you're right now in England. Is this right?
Scotland. Yeah.
Scotland.
In Glasgow. I live more or less half the time. I live in Prague. That's where the workshop is. That's where the temperas are made. And the other half, I live in Glasgow. That's where my partner lives, and she works here. And so I go back and forth. Usually it's 2 months here, 2 months there, depending on what needs to be done. When we're waiting for more components to arrive, I'm here. When there's more activity and more building, then I go to Prague. Then I go out. Adam, my colleague, he keeps the lights on. And at first this was weird and odd, but we kind of made it work. I mean, we've been doing this already for 6 or so years. So by now we're used to it. It's kind of normal.
That's fine. So we're talking about today about this little product here. It's called the Tempera, and this is a granular synthesizer with a very interesting twist, as I should say, because as you see, there are little dots lighting up, and you have some lanes to say, and we can show you this. But before we start with this, we should talk about what does your company normally do, and what
Company is called Beetlecrab. Why is that?
To be honest, nobody really knows. When we started 7 years ago, 8, building the first vector prototype. At first we were building it, on our own. But at some point we wanted to start buying components through a company, through an official entity, because not always they would sell us things if you're just an individual. So we had to incorporate it to be a company, and we didn't have enough even interest, to be fair, in inventing like a brand name or something. We were not interested in building a brand, but we were just interested in building the synthesizer, the Vector. So we were just presented ourselves as Vector, who make the Vector. This was obviously, thinking back, this was a silly idea. This doesn't work, can't work. But when we incorporated the company, we entered the legal name for the company as Beetlecrab. But we didn't say this to anyone. We didn't market it at all. But nevertheless, it was visible on the invoices. So when people bought a Vector, at the bottom there would be, for the warranty and so on, it would say Beetlecrab Ltd. And so people started using it. And so we thought, and since we couldn't think of anything else, anything better or worse, and we didn't want to that much, so we just kept it.
Yeah, finding names is always a real hassle. If you
And
anyone
just
knows
by the
that
way, the Vector synth is right behind you, just to let everyone know what it actually is. Maybe we should just have
Right, so Vector is a vector synthesizer, but we wanted to push the concept a little bit further on the, there you go.
it's a little bit dark, but I think
We want to push it a little bit further and add things that are not traditionally associated with vector synthesis. So usually the basic concept is that you have some kind of joystick or, a mixing situation on a two-dimensional plane, and you would mix waveforms, wavetables or samples. What we did instead was that at that time I was kind of biased against samples. I thought it was kind of like cheating a little bit, because you take something that's already made. Of course, thinking back now, that it doesn't make, that point of view doesn't make sense, because since now we do Tempera and that's always samples. But I'm happy that we took a different approach rather than waveforms and samples with the Vector. So there's a synthesis, an additive synthesis with a mixture of frequency modulation and phase distortion, and additive synthesis and subtractive. So it's kind of like a weird knot, a weird tangle of things, and it's very integrated into the two-dimensional plane where things are moving. And another thing we wanted to do is that as the things are moving, of course, one way is to move them manually with a joystick or this or that, but we wanted to bring some determinism into the motion. So it's something you can rely on as the sound is moving through all the different trajectories. So we came up with the orbiters and the different, and the Lissajous curves and the ADSR, and then we added a few more. So all in all, it is a vector synthesizer. It's in the name, but it does many things quite a bit differently than you would expect from a normal vector synthesizer. And so it's as you can see, it's a nice box. The box technology is the same as for the Tempera. It's the same metal, same. It's a different color, obviously, but this was I think fourth iteration of the boxes. We tried different feel for the case, different type of paint. So this kind of paint, if I remember correctly, the case, the unpainted case, is electrostatically charged, and then the paint is in a form of powder, and it attaches to the metal with electrostatic charge, and then it heats up, and then it sticks to there. Maybe I'm butchering the story a little bit, but it's something like this. And the difference between this and normal paint is that it doesn't peel. So if you make a dent into this, which will happen eventually, then you will not observe the whole paint peeling away like a piece of wall paint. It will just stay localized. And so yeah, and there's a huge touch screen color, and it's powered by a Raspberry Pi inside, which was very nice for us because it allows us to, and it allowed many other companies building synthesizer and other gear as well. Even huge companies like I think Korg used that in their mod wave. And an algorithm is an algorithm. The math is the same, so there's no difference if it runs on this or that chip. But for us and for other companies, it's good that we can just take a ready-made CPU, plug it in, and build everything around it.
Yeah.
So there's a very low entry barrier in this way, because there's already so many different entry barriers, but this one was nice.
Mm-hmm. To the question in the chat, yes, I can turn it on at the moment because I run out of power sockets. At the moment, I still figure out the new flat, so sorry for that. But it's a very intriguing interface. So if you look closely behind Andre, you can see the interface on screen, and it's very different from some other approaches on this topic. But once you get your head around it, it's very nice for exploring sounds. And as you said about, especially about the thing with the housing and stuff, the quality of the products is very astonishing, especially with the metal housing. That feels really nice on both products. And I saw the first iteration of the Tempera, and it changed quite a lot.
So maybe we should dive into Tempera, because that's our main goal, to show
Exactly.
it to you. But we just didn't want to hide the previous stuff, and so it's not the first device you're making, but it's completely different. It's a granular synth, and it has a different approach compared to any other I've seen, including the Torso S4, which is about to come. I don't know. What? Okay. If you have had your fingers on one of those, but let's try to first tell everyone what's behind it, basically.
I think the best way probably would be to trace this back to 2013. That's 10 years ago now. And I was at that time during university, and there was end of year or half year project or something like this as part of electroacoustic subject. So we were encouraged to experiment with building things, do-it-yourself style, hacking little things together. And so what I built was a kind of tape playback machine. So at first there was a piece of paper, an A4 standard piece of paper, to which there were attached cassette tapes, magnetic cassette tapes, right, all of them next to each other. So in the end, with a double-sided tape. So in the end, it was a piece of paper that was full, just one continuous magnetic tape surface. And on that tape surface, in theory, That was the idea. You could write something with a tape head and then read something from the tape head. So normally, the tape in a cassette player goes into one direction, so it's single dimensional. But if you stack them next to each other into 2D two-dimensional surface, it becomes a two-dimensional tape. A very fat, wide tape strip, I guess. And then with this, I still kept it, even though this is so. And then there's this handheld little tape, so you can see. I don't know if the camera can see it, but there's a little tape head that's butchered out of a cassette player.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And then you connect two jacks into it. I don't actually remember why there's two of them. If the tape head is stereo or not, it's lost to memory. But then the idea is that you connect two jacks in here, and you hold it in your hand, and as you glide across the surface of the tape paper, you would read out whatever is on the tape that you're currently, I guess, quite literally scrubbing. So this was the reader head. It's just a piece of metal that's sawed off and just drilled into and attached. And then there was another one that was this is a tape reader. This one is simple. There was another one that looked identical, but it was a tape writer. But I didn't quite make it work, because for tape writing, you need to first demagnetize the tape. And that's done with some kind of super high frequency signal that was not easy to make with normal digitized audio. So it was like in high kilohertz. I don't remember exactly what, but that was more difficult to make. So the ambition was to first take one and write something on the tape, and then take the reader and read something from the tape. And this was
actually play and record from multiple tapes glued to the workspace or something like that.
Yes, but I would stress that the multiple tapes essentially become one very wide and thick tape, right? But yes, that was the idea. You would draw something on the tape surface with the tape writer, and then take the reader and read something, maybe in a different gesture, different maneuver, different direction, across the different tracks, the grooves, if you will. And this was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun even playing it. It was fun building it. Sticking those tapes on the paper was very tedious, because it needs to be done very precise, so there's no gaps, so there's no overlaps, and it's the tape is kind of fun, but it was fun nonetheless.
The thing is, what you now explained is basically the principle of the Tempera, as I understand it, because you have the samples. They are to say. Give me a second. I have to turn on the microphone.
Maybe see your face.
One, two. Oh, nobody needs to see me. Okay, now we're talking. It's a little bit different, but I think it will work. So you see, when I go in the sample library, you have, this is one sample, this is the other, and you have 8 in total. And this is these are the tape strips. And if you go to the emitter, everybody thinks about what is the emitter, what does it. This is basically the tape head, what you said. And this is what makes the reading of the samples. And you have 4 of them there. And then you can go in there, select them, and edit then for your likings. This is how it works. The basic concept of the Tempera synth, as you will.
So basically, it has 8 strips of tape, of virtual tape, you can play, but everyone who's into granular knows you can not just move the head over that one the tape strip, but it's possible to play it in a very small amounts and move that across the tape. So that's also possible.
Yes, I would correct just one little thing. I mean, it's not really a correction. The emitter is a tape. Is this, but it would be better to say that the emitter generates thousands of these.
Exactly.
Right. So one emitter, you place the emitter there, and the emitter generates many little of these things that appear, play a thing, and then disappear. And then they can play it on some trajectory to the left, to the right, up, down, in a circle if you modulate it with sine waves and cosine waves, or up, down in a sequenced manner with a square wave, and you can create different trajectories for the movement of the emitters of the grains.
So maybe it's time to have you play something. I have a little video here. We have 2 choices to play the whole stuff. It's about 5 minutes, or just play the last part so we all see what it's all about, to listen to something, because what is it actually? What does it do? I just want to have some help for your imagination. So I try to play that thing here. I think it's this this knob. We have seen here is the last part of the video. I just added something like here. What you can see, I just have to to wake it up, and there's basically 4 colors representing one emitter, and you can just add these, and that's what I did, like this. And if you just have one of them, at the moment this yellow one, it's just that. So it's basically adding things what I showed you to this in this video, but in a, I hope, better quality than this is. So yeah, so that's just one thing. I just did.
Just one thing. Maybe we should
Yeah.
maybe we should show what happens if you just use one sample in one lane with one emitter, because now you see all the different parts moving around,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit chaotic to understand. but maybe if we try to show this in a little bit more normal way, we can achieve this more. Let me grab this for a second. Maybe
Let's grab the crap.
that's what you said. Oops. So let's go. I will clear all the emitters now. So none is and now you can see I can have a onboard keyboard, or I can plug one in via MIDI or via USB. Now I go to hold, select a note, then we select an emitter. Let's select the first one, and I will do the jitter back on normal, and I will increase the grain size to 1. So it starts fairly normal, and the density is basically grain length is how big is your sample play, and how many from the granular emitters will play.
Don't forget to maybe bring quantize down.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead.
That's really good, because you can push the round knob and you will have an acceleration. So you can dial it in very precise, or you use the round knob to jump. And then you can say, let's select this, increase the volume. Now you see there's movement here, and it's a recording of mine with some effects. Let's take this down and take the movement back. So. Now you hear the selected this is the pitch. Now I can say I can move through the whole sample. I will show you the sample in normal. That's a good Dewald. It's not sponsored, but and yeah, you can select more. Then you can say how the envelope is working. So it's say a long decay.
There's two things. First, you have 2 samples per lane, and second, you can actually load 1 sample in like this. But can it process like your type idea some input that is actually in real time, or is it banned?
At this point, no, you would have to record it as audio, so you would have to record it into the lane and then process it. Because the problem with real-time granular stuff, and that this is inherent is that you cannot look forward in time. So you need first to collect the audio, and only then you can granularize, and you can only granularize back in time, not forward in time. So at this point, this is not possible. In the future, maybe, but we don't want to turn Tempera into an everything machine. So we're not super focused on that this must be done as soon as possible. Would prefer to keep this this canvas thing where there's audio information on the tape, and you can take one tape away and put it in a different tape, right? By loading a different sample, essentially. But yeah, sure. I can see in it the concept of those tapes actually running through as an input audio. So I can see that too conceptually. But at this point, we're not planning it in the near future. Maybe at some point, I don't know.
Maybe I should show another sound for that.
Maybe a bit more normal, because it's really hard to listen to something that is so dynamic.
Exactly. So the good thing is the loading time is very fast. So let's grab some sounds here. And enter. Let's go to. So. Kill all these other sounds. And let's go to the emitter, select, and maybe we should.
I'm not really sure what you are doing. Maybe you could talk.
Now we have this one emitter, and it goes through the samples. You see?
Yeah.
I have some chimes, a sitar, and some other elements. And
so you actually see the sort of tape head moving.
Right. And you can not just move in the same sample, but you can move through all the other samples to say this again. And you can say how you like this. I have to check how this. Okay, this is target. Let's set this of none. Now it should. This is just one sample. It's maybe a little bit loud. And if I increase the keyboard, we can transpose this down to make it bigger. The good thing is now you have everything with a clear. You can really kill everything if you get stuck anywhere. This is a really good feature. And let's say you have another sample you like, maybe this one. So let's select, not this one. Oh. Right. And go down to the bottom again. Let's look. This is the sitar. Can you see? It's very nice to play. You can really play it like an instrument, or you play it like a loop instrument, if you like.
Okay, let's switch back to where it all, about the nerdy stuff, because we have you here. So this is not as nerdy as it looks, because it is just multiple samplers, and there is, to me, maybe we are a bit different. I would recommend to play it via a keyboard, because you can play everything, and you have 4 channels for the 4 emitters. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that idea and structure, because it's best to have it from you.
From the horse. There's two ways, I think, two major ways to play the machine. One is that is focused on voices, and I think that's what you describe more or less, is that you play a chord, a melody, and all of the placed emitters work as basically your synthesizer sound. So you play a key, and when you play a key, a note, a voice, all of the emitters get activated on that frequency, and on that note, on that tuning, and they play. When you play a different note, all of them get activated at the same time also again. So you can lay chords, and so there's a huge pool of grains. So it is possible, but it's difficult to run out of grains unless you're doing it very intentionally, in which case it's obviously very, very easy to do. So that's one way. And another way is, what people do is they place one note and then play the emitters rather than the keys. So that's a different approach. So there'll be one note, and then what they would set one emitter to be like a more rhythmic, a percussive. One would be more tonal. One would be more, let's say, like ambient or soundscapey, or like non-musical sounds. And then there's, I guess, a third way, probably the most pro way, or maybe not, I don't know, is to play both at the same time. So you would play, with your one hand, you would play the notes on your keyboard, and with the other hand, you would play the emitters on the Tempera.
That
so
brings,
these are...
sorry, just continue. Okay. I just want to let you know what Andre just said. I have the possibility of adding all these as a sort of granular, a cloud of things. When you press all these colors, it's not good to see, but they are yellow, and there's others with these colors from these emitters. So if you want to play them, it's like I just press one key on the keyboard, and everything will start playing, and you can add and remove them while playing on them. And this is just one instrument, and that's the last one you explained to us. So that's this one. And there is multiple ways to access it or to play it, and I've put this strip.
Maybe I should
Yeah.
shortly explain how I have to change. The microphone. Sorry. Maybe I should explain how I approach the Tempera, because I use normally the sounds that you heard as a looping device. So you play one note, let the emitters play, and then you have the emitter as volume, and you have the samples as volume, and then you can really surf with the sounds and go lost for hours. This is really something I really often do, because I made sounds for the Tempera and got lost quite a while.
It is quite easy to get lost. With the looping thing, I think you're 100% correct. It's traditionally, like in the literature or a grain, I think is defined as being like a few milliseconds up to, I don't know, maybe 100 or maybe 500, like a half a second or something. But of course, this is arbitrary. There's no reason a grain cannot last 3 years if that's what you wanted to. So if a grain is short, it's just a little transient. If it's a little bit longer, it's like a little identifiable already, a little soul of the music. You can already identify it more than just being like a little percussive sound. But if when you get longer, suddenly the grain becomes one note, a quarter note, half note, and then it can become a full phrase, or it can become a full 8-second loop, and anything in between. So I think this is also kind of unusual, maybe, is that we're very free with how long the grains can be, and they really can be anything from super short to kind of long. Not years, because the samples can only be around 11 seconds, but they can be longer than what you would normally call a grain. And so with, as I was speaking about the tape surface, it was really fun to play, but it was very difficult to have the thing under control. Because if you write something on the tape, the groove of your sound, so to say, is very thin. It's very easy to miss it. It's very difficult to lay a line of sound and then read it back. It's just simple. It's so thin, you will not find it. So that's why we split it into little chunks, and you can still go in between, of course, but this is more manageable. And the approach of having grains as phrases allows for a different kind of approach to granular synthesis, where it's kind of grain sequencing, or maybe I don't know what to call it. So maybe grain sequencing would be an appropriate name.
What's very different from others is what I'm showing here. You have them measured in musical timing. So normally you have some number there, but there is a division, like one quarter note or one. That's more like what would you say? Could you tell me where the idea came from and what?
Right. So there's two parameters that you show there. One is how often a grain gets triggered. That's the quantization, and the other one, how long a grain lasts once it's triggered. Yep. So those are the two, and you can with the third knob you can freely set the quantize levels. So from completely a swarm of grains, and then you can slowly, gradually bring it into fully quantized grain sequencing in tempo that you can sync with your other gear and so.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Time quantized.
I just want to ask what does quantizing in this field actually mean?
In this case, I mean, I'm so sorry. I mean that the timing of when the grains are emitted is fixed onto a grid of incoming time clock of your master, like of your project clock, be it quarter notes, eighth notes, 12. I'm not sure. We don't have triplets yet, I think. But that's what we mean by quantization. So we don't mean that it will fix your playing if that's what you're going for. But we don't mean quantization as in notes, because that's what at this point, that's where the notes on your keys, that's where they're coming from. But here we mean time quantization. And you can get very interesting things if you bring the time quantization to like 75%. It starts to be it's very strange how you can hear the rhythm starts falling apart in a very weird organic way. You go 50%, and it's on first listen, it's like, this is strange. But if you listen a little bit, there is actually an order to so they're kind of emitted in bursts, like a timed waterfall that overflows and underflows a little bit before, a little bit after. And then when you make the quantization very tight, it's just like a laser streams to cut, I don't know, vegetables or something. So from mist into and anything in between. And just to add briefly, just to conclude the answer to your question, is that when I was doing this, it was very difficult to control the thing. I could never find the thing I was looking for. I found it, I put my hand away, and then I didn't find it. I had to look for it again. And in the live situation, or even in a recording situation, it was kind of... So it sounds more playable than it actually was, the whole tape paper. And so we wanted to add a lot of things that make the control easier and more predictable and more deterministic. Because if you put Tempera in a lot of with other gear, with drum machines and effects and so on, you have a massive, complicated clock setup with divisions, and so when you press play and with your sequence, aside from some randomization things, you know which way things are going. You can rely on it doing more or less the thing that you're expecting it to do. And this was very difficult with the tape, almost impossible.
So it's not made like most of the earlier granular synth to get a stationary position and repeating and sort of freezing, but you have something that fills up by this quantized knob. If you turn it full on, it will fill, but it sounds completely different from everything I have heard. So it's completely different from other granular synthesizers.
Especially you don't have this shimmery thing going on, that everything is pitching around like crazy. You can do a tune spread, okay, but this is something I really find refreshing on the take of granular synthesis, that not everything is going so this is something really cool. And what you said about the live capabilities or for performances is really you can really create a huge background for your soundscapes and for your songs with this machine. I think this is one of the unique selling points of this machine. This makes your this is a product that can shine not only on single purpose and as a single instrument, but if you take it in consideration of a whole setup for live, you can make the people go really crazy, because you can create really nice and astonishing soundscapes that capture the people with really great ear candy that you don't find anywhere else, I think, in this ride. Because to say you have this granular thing, and then you have the stereo spreading, that really becomes intriguing if you have headphones on, or you have a good stereo setup. That really makes a lot of fun. And as you said, with all the quantization, you can put their beats in there. On every lane, put some beats. You can make really freakingly easy, good IDM break beats and stuff, glitchy break beats and like that. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. And you can also make rhythmic stuff from originally non-rhythmic material and vice versa, and smoothly move between the two situations. Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
That's one thing, just basic things, because I think most of the people never heard of these parameters here.
They are new, yeah.
So
Okay.
let's just have a look what they mean. Spray, actually, or something like these, and so this is what is really different from other machines. You might want to explain it because you are the one.
Right, so spray have been there since day one. This is one of the very core things. But relative X and Y is a little bit funny because it was exposed as MIDI parameters since I think version 1.4, like 2 months. But then there was a bug that one of users at Discord reported that they have set it. They have modified the parameter with MIDI CC, but then unplugged the controller, and the parameter stayed modified inside. So the playhead was in a completely different place than where the emitter was placed. So how to resolve it? And obviously just expose the two parameters and bring it up. So what came to be something that I don't know why wasn't there already before, but with the two you can scrub. So okay, let me rewind it back a little bit. So the spray X and Y determine how far from the emitter origin, and that's where you have placed these. Yes, how far can each of these little tape heads be spawned away from the origin point. Exactly. And so that's X and Y. So on X, this is always quantized, but on Y, there's also a line. So you can, specifically for percussive samples, where usually there's a transient at the beginning of a cell, then you would align, and then you are certain that every time that cell starts playing, it will start on exactly the beat of the drum or the phrase of the vocal and so on and so on. So by increasing the spray X, you're increasing the range of where these little tape heads are spawning, and Y it goes like this. And then with relative X, relative Y, that's basically just scrubbing. Scrubbing on two directions. So you can scrub in X and in Y. And then you can route the two parameters to LFOs. So you can automate your scrubbing into circels and all sorts of weird shapes, or put it on MIDI aftertouch, or put it on mod wheel, and so on.
Okay, maybe that's what most of us here of our views may know. It's not sharp. There's these sort of LFOs here and envelopes, and that's what you are talking about. Just to show it, there's waveforms here, and then you can apply it with a speed and things to anything you want. And there is multiple. There's 5. There are 5 in there. So.
Yep. So some of them are LFOs, like the sine and so on. Then there's noise sample and hold for like randomly sequenced, exactly. And then there's mod wheel, and then there's slow noise that just kind of moves around in some speed. And also there's 2 simple envelopes, attack decay and attack release. And you can have the emitters move, let's say, up and down on each note press. If that's and you can modulate emitter X, you can modulate the sprays, the filter, and so on. Yeah.
So these animations are basically really, really basic to the Tempera as a whole, and that's what is so important here to understand. It's a lot of grains going on and playing and moving, and that's what's behind the Tempera, that you can actually send your idea of how they move to the Tempera.
Yeah, and the grid, the color grid communicates with you which emitter it is, where it is right now, which way is it moving. So not only it looks nice, it is also extremely functional because it immediately communicates to you what is going on. And if you think, oh, where's this? There's something I don't like. Oh, okay, it's the blue one or something. So you remove it. There's an immediate feedback on. So it's not just flashing lights, so to say.
There's someone who wants to listen to one like these. I just show these. Maybe here I can switch it to the spray one. That's something. Maybe it's too loud now.
Maybe I should show this the X and Y parameter.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Because I have a very simple sound setup here now loaded, and this should be.
It's like drawing on a canvas. It's a lot of sprays, and I filled them up already. It's better to start with just one, and then have a look at it. And I think Dean can.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yep.
So I have now one emitter set here in the middle, more or less, at the Han Solo, whatever, and Han Solo, Star Wars. And now this sounds a little bit like a hand pan.
At the moment,
here.
No.
And, it's okay. You don't hear that?
No.
I think I hear something.
It's a little, very small sound, but
okay,
not coming through.
Oh, there we go.
Now we're good. Yeah.
Let's increase the Y spray. So that's going through.
I don't hear much. Maybe you could.
But we can see it. We can see it. We can imagine it.
It's better to listen to it, to have.
Here.
Maybe you could change it to a more normal sample.
Oh, why not? Let's.
Maybe just something.
String and brasses. Maybe this should work.
Just like that.
So let's kill everything and go back. So
there's an initial patch, by the way.
Yes. So I just hold one node, you see, and then I grab the emitter and change this to something a little bit more normal, so we don't have completely random stuff happening. So there's no spray, I don't give any effects on that, so it should normally play. I should say toggle, because you can say how you like to play the emitter instant, and it stops playing, or you have a toggle.
It's still a strange sound.
Yeah, I know. And then, so let's find something.
You know what? It sounds like maybe you have
the emitter is relatively small.
I suspect it sounds to me like there's maybe a gate after Tempera, and so it flutters.
Maybe this could be right.
Due to the
Give me a second. Sound this. Is this better?
It's less fluttering. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think it would be good to add very, very small spray white. Just a super tiny one.
Exactly. That's what we do. Now we have one emitter playing, and on
There's
this
the one. Okay.
and then we go in the Y. You see? And then let's jump back and let's jump through the other samples. Maybe we should. Now we can make everything on the grid. And let's.
It sounds strange, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, to me
A
it
little
sounds
bit, yes.
so.
Maybe this doesn't translate in stream.
Yeah, maybe we should do a separate audio.
But this is not the thing about. But you see, how does it work with the X and Y, and this is maybe the main thing you can really say. Go through this one sample or go through the others at the same time, and then you can apply modulation, like you said, an AD thing, or you say, yeah. It's not just. We really have high quality sound interfaces here. It's not on this side because
Stream and that ruins everything.
Maybe it's the Tempera.
No, it's not. It's not the Tempera.
Yeah, we should.
I think the movement of the emitter can be, I think, seen here on the initial page. If I select the yellow one here and just get rid of this, and select the green one and get rid of this, you can see on the blue one. You can see it's modulated by. Well, let's take a look. So I go to modulators, and there's the first one is a triangle. And it goes to relative X, and the second one is a sine wave, and it goes onto relative Y, and they are synced. So in the end, it kind of scrubs into. You can see it moving. If you set the two ratios in non-integer ratios, so like 1 and 1.3, then it will never come back to the same place. It will all keep on going in weird. If you set it 1 to 2. Then it will be like a figure of 8. Well, you know those things from vector as well. You can combine trigonometry to create different shapes.
Something we didn't talk about is that you can record.
Right.
And this is really easy. You can, if you look, let's change the mics again. And no worries, I don't play anything, but if I hold the round button, you can see here is a record, and we have a microphone in there, so I can record something, or you can use the stereo in, sadly, I ran out of plugs because I wanted to play the Unisynth Pro X in there, but it will work with the internal microphone. So let's get back on this. And let's record something. Switch. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this should.
It's all black, so we don't see it.
My head.
Yeah, it's a bit improvised since
1, 2, 3, 4.
See, there's a little bit of setup required, probably setting the right input source and
I know. My
and gains, I think.
internal mic, bingo.
And again, gain also.
Now we see something. Fine.
Oh, now it started recording into, yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. La 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 la. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's completely distorted.
Yes.
This. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can record while other things are playing.
And you
Even
can
from
record on top. Okay, this is
also yes.
I didn't know. This is really really funny. This is to be clear, this is a function that I didn't had in the previous version. So
yeah, we all improvise at the moment because that's so.
This is something I really didn't know. This is cool because you can layer sounds on top.
Right, yeah, the idea is that you would record, well, obviously either some just random sounds, but you can also connect an instrument or a microphone directly into the machine. So you can record one track of a rhythmic sound, another with percussive, and this and that, and then combine them and then re-record them as others are playing. So you can switch the tapes from underneath while all the other tapes are playing, and then switch it back. And maybe if I put a too big crown on it, maybe like a mix desk in some sense, but of course, on a much simpler level. But you can play a loop from one track, record. It can also record its own output, so you can resample on the device. You can play, well, whatever the things we played today, and set your master output as your recording source, and record with the stuff that's coming out of Tempera directly into its own track. And then once that's there, you can place emitters onto that new recorded track, butcher it again, and then maybe again and again and again and again until there's nothing left, until it's just a.
Maybe we should have one thing, because it went completely not so straight. So we should have some little sort of recap in this case. What you really can do, what is the potential of this instrument, because it's actually an instrument, and maybe we can give a short summary of what we can do with it, because we won't be able to really show it. It's better to just have the words for it. And it's basically you can use for at least 2 samples per string, or 8 samples in a row, and play them as you want it to, and you can assign macros to it, so you can be spontaneous. But even though it didn't, we didn't show it, but it's possible. So this machine is not as hard as to manage. I think it is really important to have some words about that. How you really work with it when you have understood it and have it for some days. So
yeah, I think that's true. We're running the Discord with support, and people share, and there's some amazing things that people do with it. Like there's. I don't want to name names because I didn't ask for permission in advance, but so they would put different elaborate notes. They would generate their sounds with like a C sound, or like an external tool, and then put different notes on each different cells and create, I guess, algorithmic compositions. Different, so they would decide that, okay, this is going to be one scale, like in thirds, and the other one is going to be in fifths. And as the emitters are moving across, but yeah, I digress. And what I wanted to say is that usually when people see it for the first time, it's like, what's going on? I don't understand what the note does, what the emitter does, how does it all work together? But after some time spent, I think it actually is quite clear. There's actually very little mystery on the device itself. It's the whole operation is very transparent. So you're only left with yourself and your sample material, not the emitters and things are they're just showing you the little playheads that exist within that space. But otherwise, there's no like secret settings or, I mean, maybe that's not always good because people like discoveries, but in this case, it's kind of transparent.
There's one thing, I think, what kind of samples you should pick for this instrument, because I think it's really worth thinking before uploading it to the machine. But you can try
definitely.
it. Yeah,
Definitely. I think, broadly speaking, any sample can be used in Tempera in some way. However, I think it's important to realize and think ahead a little bit, what kind of sound, what kind of things are you going to do with the sample? So, for example, just to give a few examples, if you want to make a tonal sound, so that's a sound that has a very specific identifiable tone and harmonic structure. So let's say a flute, a synth note playing, or a vocal singing or something. It should be, for example, I think you would complicate your life, for example, if you add too much vibrato into your sample, for example.
I had the experience with Granular not to fill up it too much with things like basses, the normal stuff that other instruments may be better off, but something that changes in its overtone structure. Like this, even drums can be good. But not just one dark thing, but something that evolves in it.
Yes, and I think, and also I would add to this that it's good when the sample evolves throughout all of its length. So for example, a nice sample might be to slowly turn across the 8 seconds of sample, like one knob on your, whatever you're sampling, just slowly create one long motion. And then you have that one motion with that musical gesture, that maneuver recorded into that sample, and you can look around. What is the different combinations at different places? So there's a lot of I think it's a huge topic in what kind of samples go well with granular in general, but also different granular synthesizers will reward different kinds of source samples. Also think about how that sample maps to the grid, and in case of Tempera specifically, think about also which samples you want to have next to what other samples, because all the time you're using that adjacency. So, and I think it can go multiple ways. You can put a very smooth, sort of simple, and next to it might be something very aggressive. Okay, if you have an idea, if it's deliberate, absolutely. Or the opposite, maybe you would go from very like smooth and then rougher, and then completely destroyed on the other side of and then you can do maybe top left to bottom right. So you can do really a lot of elaborate things with your samples. I've seen a comment on a message on the screen that there's a gallery. Yeah, that's a place where people share their canvases, and gallery.beetlecrab.audio. And whoever has a Tempera, please share your samples. Other people download the samples, they try them out, they modify them, they remix, use them again. It's kind of like a painters club. I don't know, maybe alcoholics club. I don't know. Just people doing all sorts of weird things again and again.
A real good, alive community going on with your products, especially with Tempera. And as they say, it's very good for evolving sounds. This is something, and it doesn't matter if you use stones or if you use orchestral stuff. You will find everything in there with the presets to get a feel for it. And then you can really explore it for yourself. And this is something what makes really fun with this product, because you can play it like an instrument with very nice orchestral stuff, or with drums, making glitch drums or something. Or you make totally horrific soundscapes for your next movie. This is something that works really, really well with this. And this is something what I approach to do with the Tempera, making really different soundscapes.
Yeah, when I play them, I feel like I'm a conductor. That's the emotion that I get. Kind of, and the whole wall of sound emerges with these I guess gestures and with the conducting. Yeah, it's I think for cinematics, but also for rhythmic sounds, and kind of on the verge of finger drumming. Maybe it's sort of in that direction by triggering the individual things with the spray this up, down, also works really well. And Tempera, we have presented it last year in Berlin. We're shipping as fast as we can, but still this is very early. And already there has been a lot of progress in firmware. People play it and they find, aside from bugs, they also, it's like, okay, I'm using it this way, maybe, and then we find solutions to make some things easier, and then other things emerge. Then someone else starts using it, and someone else starts using something wrong, but then maybe this is not actually wrong. It shouldn't be wrong. So we enable, and it's like a jungle, but like it's like a big soup, I guess, that gets slowly cooked over time, and we're still finding people are finding new ways to use the machine, and some of the please come to the disco. Some of these things are just crazy. I think, like really.
I think there's one thing that is really important. I normally really get things to life when I import my own samples because I love them and I know how to put them aside another sample. Like there's a wild saxophone on this part, and there's another maybe a waterphone or something played with the string, and something on the opposite to mix these into as a cluster of things, because it's almost clustering really a lot of sounds. That's what it's really good at. Yeah, what is it? Okay,
This is
that's the library now.
this is the
Yep.
gallery for the presets for the vector and for the tempera, and you can say, okay, here, let's find out something, radio cabin, and then you can download it and try it for yourself. This is really cool because you just have to sign up and you're ready to go. This is
There's one thing. This is basically a synthesizer, so you can add your controller to it if you want to control that by a controller box and assign everything. And there's even that it's quite like the Nord leads. You can just wiggle a knob and then assign it to these macros. They are now empty, but if you want to have them assigned to you, just wiggle that knob, and you will be asked where to put it, and then it's on that place and asks if you want to have it here, and you can have, because it's asked here, about controlling it from the DAW or from any controller. You can do that, and there's you can. It's quite easy to move through these or navigate through the all the pages. It's really logical if you understand how it works. So it might be not that so good in this presentation, because we just missed it out, because it's really simple. You have these knobs. And these are like these are the oscillators. These are all the parameters within these are. All these things like an LFO or something, and this is the keyboard. This is the all the modulators. So it's really logical. You can find it, and these are the effects and stuff like that. So it's easy to navigate through the machine, and it might be a bit strange if you have watched it from the beginning, because we are now start at where it should have been starting with everything. But there might be a monologue, how we call it. It's an explanation of going through the machine, and then it's a lot easier than just this. But we have you here, and we like to have some nerdy stuff, what's going on behind the machine itself. Now we have learned how to what practical things can be done, and some accidents that could be done as well. I'm so sorry for that. But what's behind it? What's your thing? Are you an IT guy who just wanted to have something? Wanted to do this and a synth before, or how did it come to this this machine, to making it?
I think that's about right. I started as a hobby programmer, making computer games in Flash. Those were like good old days of early internet, I think. But then I did a band and did sound engineering, and the way, because DSP programming it's a very strange category of coding. It's kind of very weird at places, unintuitive at first. And the way I started personally was that I met a person, and they were into synthesizers just as me, as players. And he told me and he said, "Oh, I'm so tired. I was programming a synthesizer all night yesterday." I was new into the whole thing, so I thought that what he means was that he was actually like programming a synthesizer, not programming it to make sound, but making a synthesizer. Does that make sense? So I misunderstood his meaning completely, and I felt like, this guy is programming synthesizers. I'm just playing synthesizers. So I was kind of like shocked with cold water with it, and so that's how I started programming synthesizers. Only much later I realized, he didn't mean that. That's not what he meant. But at that point, I was already deep into the rabbit hole of DSP programming. Well, that's how I came to be with synthesizers. And obviously, Adam is the other half of this whole project, and he's also a programmer. He's also a musician. We're both musicians, amateur musicians, but so what? And so he's more into the electronics and more into the hardware kind of things. I'm, I guess, more into the, but we both do everything. So that's not the reason we started building synthesizers in the first place is because we met at a job at a startup, and we didn't like doing the thing that we did, and thought, let's try doing a music thing. Let's try doing a piece of music technology. And music technology is something it's in my opinion, it's a very clean kind of IT. You know, on the one hand, you can be building drones and grenades, missiles and radars. And programming synthesizers is a completely different direction, because the worst thing that can happen if we bring out a piece of hardware into the world, someone will make bad music with it. But that's not the end of the world. That's like, it will pass. So I think synthesizers, music and music technology it's very rewarding. We don't even play those machines ourselves that much. And we actually don't build the machines for us. I don't build it for myself, even though, of course, I test it and have fun with it from time to time. But we build it for other people, not for ourselves. And then seeing people use it in completely unrecognizable ways, I feel like, okay, my job is done here. I can just, that's me. I've contributed enough to this. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of more maybe philosophical in some sense, but that's I'm not even sure I answered your question.
More than that. But we just want to learn about you. What is your motivation? And did you think about sending some musicians, maybe well-known ones, maybe from different genres, like a jazz player, and to send one or two of the Temperas to them and listen what they think about it?
To be very honest, I don't know how these things work. I don't know how all the marketing directions and channels and all of this, really, I don't know. The people we work with and people we are happy with work with, such as Dean, who made an amazing set of samples for the Tempera with the contact microphones, right? I
worked a lot with the microphonic soundbox and the field amp and stuff. exactly.
Right. So I think what we do is that we try to have like a good like a personal relationship with the people we work with. But as what you're sort of suggesting, if I understand it right, just more or less sending it out like randomly. I don't know even. I don't know.
This
So
is
you do it just for fun and because it works and it is possible for nerdy reasons, sort of. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
the thing is, I think Beetlecrab is a company that's really driven by the curiosity of doing things, not so much about bringing this to the biggest market and bringing this to the investment people and building a huge conglomerate out of it, like other
People wearing ties.
Yeah, I don't know if is it fun building synthesizers as part of such a huge synth machine, like one of those big huge companies. I don't know. I would be skeptical, probably. I think
there are a lot red linings, and you really have to cut so much of the fun stuff away. If you look closely on some major brands, and we also we often talk about that, and maybe I can. If you look closely, there is a big brand that made huge products, and then you see this and think, why don't they do much more with it? Why do we have just one automation lane? Why does it? And it's possible. Other brands with lesser money show that it's possible. And there is a thing called you have to invest more. You have less more than of a cut in it. Yeah.
I think it's a question of risk for them probably.
Yes,
If you're doing like 100th iteration of a thing and the thing works and the thing has their own customer base, why change it really? So I understand their like situation. I don't want to be in that situation ever. But I understand why things are the way they are. And being so small as we are and being in low volumes and being kind of boutique allows us to do things the way we want them to do. As you mentioned, a sturdy case. So if you buy our machine, I want it to never break. Right? I don't want in 2 years that it breaks and you buy another one. I want it just to forever. Like in 5,000 years, maybe someone digs it up from the archaeology, from the dirt, and hopefully maybe it'll still work or something. So it's a completely different, I guess, set of incentives, different world. And then we can take a little bit more risk with what we do, and with taking risks, we accept that 20% of the time or 50% of the time we just get it wrong, and then we kind of either fix it in this way or that way, or just we live with the pain, or But it's fun. It's really super rewarding, and yeah.
And to be clear, you're just two people.
We are two people, but to be even clearer, now we have two more amazing employees that help us with assembly, with testing, packaging, and keeping good vibes at the workshop. Because previously there was just the two of us, and sometimes there's tensions and stuff. Although after so many years, we kind of I should say it really helps that I go away every 2 months for 2 months. It really does help.
Imagine it.
There's some really practical questions, because this machine really is different in the looks, and there's some question about this, and I try to sort of moving around these cells, and there's you can touch it like this. How did you find this, and then what is it made of? Is it just a touch? Because there's one asking about these pads and what they do and how they feel, and how do you select them.
So as far as the feeling goes, they are fully polyphonic. So at the very beginning we were at the beginning we were thinking, considering all sorts of solutions, and one of them was obviously a touchscreen, so a piece of glass that doesn't have to have a display underneath it necessarily, but it is a piece of glass that can detect touches. The problem with that approach, and I'll get to the point in a few seconds, is that the touchscreen will always detect discrete steps. And so, for example, if you place your finger on, or like your hand on the whole touchscreen, it will not detect like the contours of your hand. It will try to create some sort of discrete points because it's made for touching pressing buttons and moving sliders on your phone and so on. And so with Tempera, the grid is fully polyphonic. So this means you can just put your hand on it, and all of the cells that you touch. So they have capacitive sensing on them. And they have little detents. So if you go with your finger across it, you can feel with your finger where one cell begins and other ends, kind of, right? So that there is a tactile, like a little ridge. If you touch it.
Maybe I can show this. I have better lighting, Mick.
Yeah,
In a second.
that's good. Yeah, just take over. Yeah, like this.
Yes.
And you really feel those rims around the fields.
Yeah, and as far as material goes, I don't think I can say. I didn't get permission to say this thing because it's. Sorry, maybe during the next live stream, once I get a permission from Adam to disclose the material.
Okay.
It's okay.
There's a question. I think the answer is yes. You can actually play all the cells independently. So it's there is how many grains? It's 4,690 or something.
Yeah.
So there's enough of it. There's
a lot of grains. Yes, yeah, and we have a testing procedure because there's a lot of grains and there's a lot of different scenarios under which those grains can end up emerging on different nodes, different. Like there's as far as like memory bandwidth and the memory on the hardware goes, there's many different scenarios. So what we do with this to make sure that no combination of your settings will bring the machine to a halt, that there needs to be zero crackle, there needs to be zero running out of depth. So what we do is we have created a special profiling, we call it the worst case scenario canvas, a patch. And that patch has all the emitters activated, all at maximum density. All the modulators are applied to something. So it sounds like a wall of noise, but this is the worst case scenario that you can figure out how to give the most heat to the hardware. So we run this and we watch the percentage, and then if the percentage is fine, we go forward with the firmware release and so on. So the point is that even under the worst of circumstances, the machine is sure not to produce crackles and pops, and it just needs to be very
So
on point and tight.
There's a nerdy question here.
Yeah.
It's about the processor, the programming language.
So the CPU inside is Raspberry Pi 4, and it's programmed using C++ mostly, and some of the very hot loops are handwritten in assembly and profiled really to the brink. And if you played Factorial or something like this, that's basically it. You need to organize, you need to get the most out of your memory as fast as you can into the forefront and out into the speakers immediately. So the biggest for us, for Tempera, the biggest bottleneck is memory latency. So not even speed as in throughput, but latency. When you touch a cell on the Tempera, that tells Tempera, okay, now you need to get a bunch of audio samples, like a bit of audio file from wherever in the memory, and you need it right now. So you cannot be waiting for it. If you wait for it, there's a crackle, there's a pop, and that's it. So the memory latency is the biggest issue. So Tempera needs to be really smart about how it organizes its belts full of samples that are being carried from the memory into the speakers to be as efficient as possible. And of course, so there's 4,096 grains. All of these grains are stereo. And then these grains there's a global pool. So it's not like there's a fixed number of grains per voice or per emitter or per whatever. There's a global pool. And then there's an allocator that allocates from the huge grain pool the grains, and then they are mixed down in several stages into voices, and then into stereo, and then out into speakers. So yeah, I guess that answers the question. There's a lot of optimization going on. It's really it was really fun to do it, squeezing every last bit of CPU time or RAM time, memory time, and the combination. Just to finish with the sample. So the global grain pool allows also a quite, I think, unusual thing as far as granular synthesizers go, is that you can use all 4,000 grains for one voice, or split it up, or whichever way. So you're not really limited. You can, with a single node, you can create a massive cloud, or as you mentioned with the MIDI channels, you can have one-on-one MIDI channel, just making little percussive hits or the drum loops, or just playing one loop. Because if you think about it, playing one sample in a loop, that's one grain. It's just one. So it just plays, and it's just one. It goes just in a loop. And then with another, if you want to create like a pad sound, that's 700, and it's all like almost like nothing. So I think that's quite interesting and unusual.
The good thing is what I can report is the workflow is really logic. If you sit down for, I think, an hour, and then you have it more or less. And I had another product, people know, other big granular device, and I sold it because I had every time problems with the saving presets and stuff. This is really nice here. It even suggests you random names for your presets if you like. And I don't have really big problems with the unit, even in a really early stage that I received the testing unit and a demo unit. And
it was really a prototype. I think
yes.
yours was like number 6 or something. I don't, you know.
I didn't had the possibility to sample in there directly, and this is why I completely fucked up the recording a few minutes ago, and why I didn't had time to play with this feature now. And to be clear, this is something you can really work with without so much hassle than some other products. You can load your own samples in it via USB flash drive or via micro SD. It's very easy. It basically eats everything more or less. Is this correct now?
Could you say that again, please?
It eats more or less every format.
I think yes. As long as the format is not like super patented or something, it will munch through the file. Yeah, I think it's important for me. The way we build the machines is that I think it's okay to have a requirement that the person spends like 30 minutes or an hour learning it. I think it's like it's fair. I don't think it's too much. You need years for violin. We're still on a completely different magnitudes. So I think an hour or two, I think it's fine. So if someone's like, okay, I touched it and I didn't get it in first 10 seconds. Okay, well.
Okay. This was one of the requirements for the preset, I remember, because I made my presets and had their MIDI channel going on in there and stuff. And you said to me, okay, this is cool, but you have to imagine the people get the product and touch on it, and then everything has to be happening then. And so I had to strip back my first thoughts about that. And this is something maybe you will really have to explore when you have the product with the presets. There's so much more behind the initial giving with this. You have orchestral stuff in there, so you can play it really exponential with the brass soundscapes and stuff, and it becomes more immersive if you.
Yeah, I think the factory, the built-in content turned out really nice. And what I'm particularly happy about is that, as you say, you touch a note and okay, this is what the canvas does. You get quite a good immediate feel for, okay, this is sort of more or less the where we are. But then you can dig in deeper and deeper and deeper. And as you dig deeper, there's always something new to find. You don't have to do that, but if you decide to, the machine can grow with you, or rather you can grow with the machine, or, the machine supports you. At every step of the way, it offers something new for you to explore, some new, maybe a different interaction between samples that you didn't realize before. Oh, this is, I didn't realize that can work this way, and so forth. So I think that's also important for a machine, that it's not shallow, that it has a depth, but that depth should not be, super necessary.
That's a good point, because this is one of the few deeper products that you don't have the problems to remember, because sometimes you have machines like Electron and stuff. If you don't sit there for quite some time on this product and you forget everything how it works, this is not the case here. This is really one mindset, and you can go in there directly without any relearning. this is something I really appreciate about this project.
Yeah, it's a little bit like riding a bicycle, no, or something. It takes a bit to learn, but then after 3 years, you're like, and there you go, and it's fine. You suddenly are swimming, or I don't know, and then it's just, yeah, I agree, yeah.
Maybe we can go through some of the basic questions. I think most people may want to know first how to put in samples. You can have them by card or by.
I already answered that.
And then I will do some basic questions now. And is there an editor or something for it?
No, I think there's no need for one.
Because it's a hands-on machine.
There's almost nothing like to put.
And you can trim your samples on the unit. So maybe I can show this.
Yeah, it's easy. It's like this. Yeah.
There's really not much. I mean, if someone comes with like a specific request, okay, we need an editor to do A, B, C, D, E, these kind of things, then we can think about it. But I don't think it's necessary.
We can see that there is an editor, and you don't need so much because you can see the waveform, and as Dean is showing now.
Yeah, and the whole thing is so transparent that there's not much like more to edit. You have all of the parameters are right here for you to edit. And honestly, if it were an editor, it would probably look like this.
Yeah, because you have a normalization, you can reverse the sample, and you can trim the sample, and you can listen from the start or from the end. That's really nice.
Yeah. And if people are preparing their own samples, then they are already doing it within a DAW, or so they already can do some editing there.
Sampler or stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
And about connecting things to it, there is simply an in and out and the phones, and of course there's it's not so sharp though.
There we go. Let me just clarify just on the inputs. So the leftmost, from your point of view, jack. Yeah, if we can see the text. Yeah. So so you can see it's shared. It's audio output left or stereo phones. So it's kind of a weird jack. You can see that the backside is completely filled to the brim. There's literally no room for anything else. So the leftmost jack it's either left mono or stereo phones. Then there's right mono and stereo audio input. USB host for controllers, just directly plug in your key step or something like with USB, or USB flash drive for saving or loading samples and canvases. I think that was also one of the questions. Or upgraded firmware. So it's a USB host. Plug in. You can even plug a USB hub and plug 2 different controllers into it and a USB flash drive. Then the next one is device. That's for connecting your computer. Now we have a new thing in 1.6 that the SD card that's on the other side of the Tempera can be bridged into the computer. So you can access the SD card through the USB port with computer, and of course send in MIDI CCs and clock and so on. Then there's MIDI TRS checks. They can be both type A and type B. So
you can set it in the settings.
Yeah. So they are compatible with both, which is kind of, I don't know how it works. Adam would probably know more. I have no idea, but it's cool anyway. And I think that's that. There's just a little baby power button. It's probably the smallest power button I think that we could find, and we almost didn't find it. We were like, I mean, no power button will ever fit in here. But then we found this tiny one, and it was
The
problem
only
solved.
question I have is why is the master volume knob so this tiny
Yeah. Well, it's difficult to answer it. I think it's all right that it's small. It's an analog knob. All the others are encoders. This one is a knob. And it kind of goes well within that, like a whole column, a control column. I think if the knob was bigger, if we imagine just being the knob bigger as we're looking at this, that would mean a lot of room. The whole column would need to be larger, and all of the buttons would probably need to be larger or have a lot of padding in between them. So I think, yes, it is kind of, I guess, unusually small. I don't think there was many more other like reasonable ways from layout perspective. Because then it would grow. We really tried to make the thing small and packed with stuff. I do enjoy the concept of negative space, but on the synthesizer, in my opinion, I think just cramp it in.
The really good thing is about the knobs, they're really tiny but tactile, so really clicky, and you really feel what you do. This is something what I.
Sorry,
really
but when you
like.
say clicky, you don't mean.
No. I don't talk about the encoders. I really mean the buttons.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah.
So these are. It's cool. So you really feel what you do.
Yeah, I think the buttons they stick out a little bit. So even in like super dark situations, also the buttons are in rows, right? So there's a very clear geometry in the whole machine. You can see where the rows are because that's where your stuff like is happening, and then each row has its like on the same line and then on the same row, and they stick out a little bit, so you can feel them by hand. At the same time, they are firm enough so you don't press them accidentally. And when you do press them, they give you a very clear click. Yeah, so I think the buttons turned out well, and also the knobs. Although some people said that they are slippery, so they install like little rubber rings. I think it looks really nice, like colorful. I think it looks really nice. I don't find them slippery personally, but I understand there's all sorts of skin circumstances, and also I haven't played Tempera in like a gig when I'm nervous, and then. You get sweaty hands.
You mean the encoder?
Sorry.
caps?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry. Yep,
But maybe you can. I think they're just stuck on there. Or are they? The caps?
No, the caps are there. But what people do is they would buy rubber rings.
Yeah.
And they would put the rubber rings like a condom over the over the knob, and then it has a little bit more grips. And then if the rubber ring has different colors, so I think it looks quite nice. I saw
the thing is, even if you don't like the round shape, you can replace this like you if you want it.
Okay, but can I just say, just for my, if you don't have to, please don't do this.
I know.
but if you must, if you absolutely have to and cannot help yourself, okay, then as you're removing the knob, only pull up, okay? Don't wiggle, don't try to, just up, okay? If you absolutely must.
This is something, don't avoid your guarantee, people. Really?
I mean, we would probably somehow deal with it one way or another, but just please don't do it if you don't have to. There was a question, I saw a question why 8 or 16. We were deciding which one, but in the end we decided for 8 for, I guess, 3 reasons. One is that internally Tempera uses FLAC for storing all the samples. So as I'm sure everyone knows, this is a lossless compression. This is basically a zip file for audio files. So whatever goes in goes out. This exactly the same bit for bit. And this is on average, more or less, depends on source material. This is on average like 50% smaller. So that's the reason number one. Reason number two is there's an SD card slot. And really, if you buy a 128 gigabytes SD card, which people do, it's very cheap. You insert it and then suddenly you have 128 gigs or even more. And then relatively to that, our theoretical increase from 8 to 16 is kind of a drop in the bucket. It doesn't really like, it's not a big deal. And third thing is that also you can use a USB flash drive also to store. So I know that a big number bigger is, but I think it's all right. I think it's actually enough. The 8 gigs plus infinite SD card, right? Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. And the sample, okay, you would, and even if that's not enough, either get a bigger one or get 2 of them. You know, it's yeah.
It's an easier thing to do, I think, too. Maybe we should wrap this thing up because we going to the 2 hour mark. And
this is overtime, I think, already for a long time.
Even for us,
but it's fun. It's fun. It's I'm having a good time.
And maybe if you're really interested and you're going to Superbooth, you should check out the stand of
the microphone. Sorry.
Yeah. And visit these guys because they are really, really nice. Andre, a big thank you for your time and for the really spontaneous talk, because we said to you, I think 1 p.m. today. Would you be interested in a talk? And this is why everything is a little bit improvisational and not so perfect. As you
Thank you so much for inviting me. I had a good time. Really, really nice. We've met before. I haven't met, more or less. But I had really an amazing time. Thanks for the invitation. And thank you, yes. And maybe see you next time at some point. And come to Berlin and talk to you there.
Exactly. Mick, do you have anything to add?
There's so many things. Maybe the nerdy things have to go into another video or something. There's even the first part of that video demo I did. I may just upload those 5 minutes, and so you can watch it yourself and have an impression of what can one approach do. Because I really liked that you can access it via being a 4 times multitimbral instrument. That's really interesting, and how to play it. You just touch those, and then maybe that's something we should do next time or something. But I'm so sorry about you, the viewers, that we are so weird, and it has had some chaotic moments, but and also our bad language as well. But please come back and buy this machine and help this nice little guy. And more of them. And I really like the approach that you just did it because it's possible. And the other thing, because there are other granular samplers that may crash when you load some more stuff in, or operate it in the way you normally do. It crashes. This thing did not crash while we're testing, because, and you already explained. But I can. There's so much to talk. So maybe in a second episode, or maybe when another firmware is coming and stuff. When will it come to the market for everyone?
It's already on the market.
Yeah.
Yep. And we've shipped to already. We are like 4th batch now, I think.
so everyone can buy one.
Yes, you can go to our website. We sell only through our website, so you will not find it in Ottoman or elsewhere.
So it's,
Go to our website, order it, and you will receive it with the courier. Easy.
and where you have to go to, Play Tempera is the
Yep.
page you have to go to, playtempera.com, and then
Yes.
everything.
Or go to beetlecrab.audio, and then you'll find it from there.
So on Beetlecrab you can find the synth. So here's the something you have. Yeah.
As usual, we do now our little talk out with the outro and talk some funny stuff. But in the meantime, we see you, I think, next week.
Yeah, and even if you don't like it, just press like, because we are so funny or something. Or
Okay.
our language is-
Bye-bye. Yeah, and so what do we drink now on Superbooth? You said beer or coffee? I don't know, Andre.
Both? Did you say both? You said both. I
I
offered.
drink
You said
more or
both.
less everything, as long
Well,
as it's
then,
not wine or
I guess
hard
coffee in the morning. Coffee in the morning, beer in the evening.
That's a good idea.
Sounds like a deal. Okay, all right.
And Mick gets some good old water.
No, it's tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Ciao.